Hello, fellow citizens of Metaverse. It's George from Blockchain DXP. You're listening to the Metaverse Everything podcast, and today is the 10th of February 2023. Now, in today's episode, guys, I'm going to be talking quite a lot about Saudi Arabia. Now, could it be possible in the next coming years that Saudi Arabia will have a competitive advantage in the Metaverse? So, we're going to be talking quite a lot about Saudi Arabia. Now, Saudi Arabia did have an event called as Leap. And this event took place between the 6th and the 9th of February. And because of this event, there were quite a lot of partnership news in the field of Metaverse. Meta or Facebook, they did actually announce a Metaverse Academy. So we'll go ahead and explore that in today's episode. Along with Meta, Amazon is also setting up an academy in Saudi Arabia. And KPMG, they are also launching Center of Excellence. So looks like Saudi Arabia is making a lot of headways in the Metaverse arena. Now, the biggest news so far as cryptocurrency and blockchain is concerned, the Sandbox or Sand, they also announced a partnership with the government of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And we'll go ahead and explore what that news is all about. And we'll go ahead and look at that in detail. Now, along with that, Web3 Delight is also making its debut in Saudi Arabia. So we'll definitely go ahead and talk about that in today's episode. And see our partners, they are also working with the tourism industry in Saudi Arabia. Now look guys, the biggest event that is taking place in Saudi Arabia and probably in the Middle East is Vision 2030. It is an expo in Riyadh. Now so far as Metaverse is concerned, they're expecting 1 billion Metaverse visitors by 2030. So it is very highly possible that Saudi Arabia might just turn out to be the leader so far as Metaverse is concerned. So quite a lot to talk about in today's episode. But we're going to kickstart the episode by discussing the price-related information, because unfortunately since the last 24 hours, the prices of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies have miserably fallen down, and cryptocurrency and blockchain protocols that are connected to Metaverse has gone down as well. And this is because of Security Exchange Commission, Gary Gensler. So we're going to start off the episode by discussing why that thing has happened, and I'm going to be sharing my thoughts and opinions on that. And guys, like we do in every Metaverse Everything podcast, we're going to be discussing the top 5 Metaverse news from around the world and top 5 Metaverse news from Dubai. So let's kickstart today's episode. Welcome to Metaverse Everything, the ultimate destination for virtual and augmented reality enthusiasts. The Metaverse is a vast and expanding universe of possibility, and in our show we aim to bring you coverage of every aspect of this exciting new frontier. From gaming and entertainment to socializing and work, the Metaverse is changing the way we live and interact with each other. Each week, we will bring you expert guests who will discuss the latest trends and technologies in the augmented and virtual reality industry and offer practical tips for getting the most out of your Metaverse experience. We'll also explore the social and cultural implication of this rapidly evolving realm and how it's changing the way we communicate and connect with each other. Plus, we'll keep you up to date on the latest Metaverse news from around the world and Dubai and the UAE. Whether you are a seasoned augmented reality or virtual reality enthusiast or just getting started, Metaverse Everything has something for you. Join us as we journey into the Metaverse and discover all it has to offer. From the latest games and apps to the most cutting-edge hardware and software, we'll bring you the inside scoop on everything you need to know to fully immerse yourself in this exciting new world. So tune in and join us on a journey into the Metaverse. Whether you're a seasoned veteran or new to the world of augmented reality and virtual reality, the Metaverse is something for everyone, and we can't wait to share it with you on Metaverse Everything. Now guys, since you've taken care of that, let's discuss the price so far as cryptocurrency and blockchain protocols that are connected to Metaverse is concerned. Now what has happened since the last 24 hours? All cryptocurrency and blockchain protocols have fallen down miserably in prices. This has happened because Gary Gensler, the chair of SEC, did actually fine Kraken Exchange, and Kraken did actually settle the fine, but along with that, they also agreed that they will not be having any staking protocols offering to its clients. So it looks like in the United States of America, staking protocols could effectively be banned, and this, guys, is going to be having an absolutely devastating impact on the prices of cryptocurrencies. Now what I'd really recommend you to do is go to Twitter and follow Gary Gensler. Look guys, Gary Gensler has put up a video which is roughly 3 minutes long. I would really urge you to go ahead and watch it. Now you might not like what he's saying, but what he's saying is absolutely facts. Now he did actually mention that proof of work staking protocols are not adhering to certain legal requirements, and that's one of the reasons why Kraken has decided to stop staking protocols. Now listen guys, it is possible that along with Kraken, Coinbase, Binance US and other cryptocurrency exchanges will start doing that as well. Now once that thing happens, the prices of cryptocurrencies will miserably go down. Now because this is a metaverse related podcast, I won't go ahead and talk about it in detail, but if you do want to find out more information on my Crypto and Coffee at 8 podcast that will release in Monday, I'll definitely go ahead and explain that in detail. Now unfortunately, since the last 24 hours, the market cap of cryptocurrency and blockchain protocols that are connected to Metaverse has gone down by almost $2 billion. Now, on the 3rd of February, the market cap was $15 billion, and today at 5 a.m. Gulf Standard Time, the market cap of cryptocurrency and blockchain protocols that are connected to Metaverse is at $13.9 billion, and since the last 24 hours, it is down by 11.70%. Now, if you look at the 24-hour trading volume on the 3rd of February, the 24-hour trading volume was $2.9 billion. But if you look at the 24-hour trading volume today, it is at $3.1 billion. Now, if the trading volume has gone up and if the prices has gone down, it just means one thing, that people are selling their cryptos. Now, let's look at the prices of cryptocurrency and blockchain protocols that are connected to Metaverse. Now, unfortunately, guys, this is not looking good. ApeCoin is at $5.06. Since the last 24 hours, it is down by 12.32%. Since the last 7 days, it is down by 13.74%. Decentraland or Mana is at 67 cents. Since the last 24 hours, it is down by 12.29%. Since the last 7 days, it is down by 13.39%. Now, the next news is about Sandbox or Sand, and this is really interesting. Was the price right now is 71 cents, but when Sandbox did actually announce the news of its partnership with the government of Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the price of Sandbox did actually jump by well over 23%. Unfortunately, the prices have fallen down, and since the last 24 hours, it is down by 12.30%. Since the last 7 days, it is down by 14.39%. Now, this is one of the drawbacks, guys, of cryptocurrencies and blockchain protocols that are connected to Metaverse. Anything that happens in the cryptocurrency and blockchain world does have a negative impact on Metaverse as well. And this is something which I did mention in one of the podcasts a few weeks ago. That so far as Axie Infinity is concerned, it is down to $10.06. Since the last 24 hours, it is down by 15.06%. Since the last 7 days, it is down by 10.44%. Theta Network or Theta is at $1.04. Since the last 24 hours, it is down by 10.03%. Since the last 7 days, it is down by 3.92%. Now look guys, unfortunately, the prices might be going down in the next coming weeks as well. So what I'd really recommend you to do is listen to podcasts, try to understand the fundamentals of cryptocurrencies and blockchain protocols, and do the same thing for Metaverse as well. On today's podcast, guys, I'm going to be talking quite a lot about Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia is focusing on technology of the future. And the Saudi Crown Prince, at one of the events earlier this year called as the Future Investment Initiative, did actually state, I think that the new Europe will be the Middle East, and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in the next 5 years will be totally different. And if you are active on Instagram, you might have seen that video circulating quite a lot as well. And Saudi Arabia as a country has a vision cable which is claiming to be the first high-capacity submarine cable in the Red Sea. They're focusing heavily on investment in the research, development and innovation sector, is focused to increase the national GDP by $16 billion by the end of this decade. And look guys, what's going to happen at the end of the decade? It's a massive event called as Vision 2030. Now, if you were in Dubai for Dubai Expo 2020, the Saudi Arabia Stadium was absolutely brilliant and was like none other. But what happened a few days ago in Saudi Arabia, there was a massive event called as Leap. It is essentially a tech conference with over 100,000 visitors, and the event was absolutely brilliant. And Leap is the global platform and unique event for future technologies, and most disruptive technology professionals from around the world were present. And at that event, they made quite a lot of partnerships, which I'll dwell into details. Now, while I was going through the website earlier today, I also found out that later on in the month of March, that is from 4th to 7th, they also have an event called as Into the Worlds, and looks like this is a Riyadh Front Expo Center. At this point of time, I'm really not sure what the event Into the Worlds is, but by the looks of it, it looks like it is catered only to Metaverse. So in the next Metaverse Everything podcast, which I'll release on next Friday, I'll try to give out more information about Into the Worlds. Now let's discuss the partnership news that did actually take place in Saudi Arabia at the LEAP conference. Now the LEAP conference did actually take place between the 6th and the 9th. And guys, immediately after the first day, it was reported that $9 billion worth of investments were received in Saudi Arabia to support future technologies, digital entrepreneurship, and tech startups. So if you're a tech startup or a business entity, not just in Metaverse, but in the technology sector, you definitely need to check out Saudi Arabia. And look, guys, if you're into boxing and if you're into YouTube, a notorious person called Jake Paul, he has a fight coming up with Tommy Fury. And at the press conference, the Minister of Saudi Arabia did actually give out some really crucial information regarding the demographics. And he actually said that a larger percentage of the people are under 35. And this is a great thing for the economy. And when you talk about Metaverse, Metaverse is at least a decade away from mainstream adoption. And with this demographics, it does give a possibility for Saudi Arabia to be the leader in the Metaverse. So the big question is, can Saudi Arabia have a competitive advantage in the Metaverse? What are your thoughts, guys? Mention them in the comments below. Now let me go ahead and discuss if Saudi Arabia is a blue ocean so far as Metaverse is concerned. Now look, guys, blue ocean is the business strategy or an area focusing on creating new market spaces rather than competing in existing ones. Now, at the LEAP conference event, there were quite a lot of partnership that did make a lot of news, not just in Saudi Arabia or Middle East, but in the other parts of the world. Now, these partnership news are great because it also makes sure that other companies and investors are pulling in the funds into Saudi Arabia. Now, the biggest partnership that took place is regarding Meta or Facebook, and they have decided to have a Metaverse Academy in Saudi Arabia, and Meta is focusing on shaping Metaverse ecosystem, and they plan to train 1,000 people in the first 18 months, and the start date as per the news is the 1st of May. And look, guys, if you're someone who's currently living in Saudi Arabia, are working in the technology field, or are planning to get into the Metaverse, you definitely need to check it out because graduates will be equipped to pursue careers in Metaverse and its related fields. Now this, guys, just might be one of the best news, particularly so far as Metaverse industry is concerned. And with the right demographics, I do feel that Saudi Arabia might be taking a lead in the Metaverse. Now, along with Meta, Amazon has also announced its academy, and by 2025, Amazon plans to train 30,000 Saudis and issue 35,000 certificates, and they also want to have 100 internship. As per the news, they also mentioned that they're investing quite a lot of funds, but we do not know at this point of time how much of investment is done by Amazon in Saudi Arabia, but I'm pretty much sure it might be in millions, if not billions as well. And Amazon's goal is to create local talent for Vision 2030. Now look, guys, Meta is getting fully into Metaverse, and they're investing $1 billion per month on Metaverse. So Meta and Amazon is definitely making news. Now, along with them, KPMG is also launching Center of Excellence in Saudi Arabia, and the objective is to fasten Metaverse and digital twin application in Saudi Arabia. Now, what I'd really urge you to do is read through the official blog by KPMG because they're focusing on 3 areas. That is immense commitment, vast opportunities, and they have also a dedicated co-investment fund. Now look, guys, these companies making partnership with Saudi Arabia definitely attracts other companies and investors in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Now the biggest news so far as cryptocurrency is concerned, Sandbox did actually announce a partnership with the government of Saudi Arabia, and they have signed a memorandum of understanding with the government of Saudi Arabia for future Metaverse development. So they're focusing on exploring, advising and supporting one another in the Metaverse development. Now, ever since that news was announced, the prices of Sandbox or Sand did actually pump to 23%. Unfortunately, because of Gary Gensler and the news of staking protocols, the prices have gone down. Now, apart from the Sandbox, Web 3.0 is a session which is taking place in Saudi Arabia, and they'll be having the debut on the 6th of March, and the theme of Web 3.0 Delight is called Build Your Own. Now listen, guys, if you're a startup or a business entity working in the Metaverse, you definitely need to check it out because they're focusing on startup, because they have a startup pitch competition. and it is catered to startup founders and investors from different industries will be at that event. Now, apart from startup pitch competition, Web 3.0 Delight also has an hackathon which is catered to students, so definitely brilliant stuff. And apart from the Sandbox Web 3.0 Delight, SIA Partners, which is from France, they are actively involved in Saudi Arabia as well, and they have developed a digital twin for a startup incubator in virtual reality for Saudi Arabia's main tourism authority. And SIA Partners are conducting a plethora of Metaverse and Web3 workshops for clients. Now look guys, keeping all these things in mind, I wouldn't be surprised if Saudi Arabia does turn out to be the leader so far as Metaverse is concerned. Now in my Crypto and Coffee at 8 podcast, someone did actually ask if Saudi Arabia could be the leader in the Metaverse, and my understanding was that America or maybe China could be the leader in the Metaverse. But based on the Leap conference, I wouldn't be surprised if Saudi Arabia does turn out to be the leader in the Metaverse. Now what happens to Dubai and UAE? A few weeks ago in my Metaverse Everything podcast, I did talk about the amount of funds going into Saudi Arabia so far as Metaverse is concerned, and UAE was lacking well behind, and the investment pool going into Saudi Arabia was 3 times more than United Arab Emirates. Now it could be possible that Dubai as a city will still be the top 10 city in the world so far as Metaverse is concerned. Now guys, let's talk about another podcast that I have. It is called as the Metaverse Frontier. Now I did release the first episode. It is available on Anchor, iTunes, on Spotify. Now the second episode is going to be released later on today. Now this podcast is completely different guys, because all the content is written entirely by ChatGPT. Now once I take it from ChatGPT, I put it into an artificial enabled software program called as Descript, and it reads it out. Now the next episode is going to be my voice, but I will not be talking that. So in the second episode of Metaverse Frontier, we're going to be discussing centralized versus distributed metaverse, and there is an article which is written by Decrypt. I asked ChatGPT to break down that elements, convert it into a speech, and quite a lot of other things as well. And that episode is also going to discuss metaverse challenges that we need to overcome. So there are 4 areas of discussion, that is educating people, scams in metaverse, realistic time frame of metaverse, metaverse mainstream adoption, and quite a lot more. And the episode is also going to have a discussion on hardware in the metaverse. So the episode is going to explore virtual reality, augmented reality, and extended reality headset as well. Now, once again, guys, the content is written entirely by ChatGPT. I asked ChatGPT to frame it into a sentence for my podcast. I take that, paste it into an AI-enabled software, and it reads out the speech. I upload it into Anchor, Spotify, iTunes, and quite a lot of other. And the episode is also going to discuss the top Metaverse news for the week. So last week we talked about the DIFC Metaverse platform, but once again, ChatGPT is going to give out some additional information. They're also going to be discussing policing in the Metaverse and Samsung getting into the Metaverse, which I'll be covering later on in today's podcast as well. Now look guys, if you have any Metaverse related content and want it to be in the Metaverse Frontier program, what I'd recommend you to do is drop me an email to info@area2071.com. What I'm going to be doing is, I'm going to be taking that, putting it into ChatGPT. I'm going to ask ChatGPT to convert it into a podcast speech, and I'm going to be uploading it across all podcasting platforms. Now guys, let's discuss the top 5 Metaverse news from around the world. And the first news is by the mobile phone giant called as Nokia. And Nokia has been working on developing industrial use cases for the metaverse. So the news is Nokia is getting into industrial metaverse. And a few weeks ago, guys, I did talk about the World Economic Forum. They did publish an article and state the importance of industrial metaverse. And Nokia is using metaverse to connect remote breweries, train aircraft techs, and quite a lot of other. It's a really cool concept. And in my Metaverse Everything podcast, I did talk about the CEO of Nokia, who did actually state that it is possible that in the next 5 years, mobile phones will be obsolete and people will be using metaverse. Now guys, let's discuss the second news, and this is about Mavari, and the news is that they have raised $6.5 million to enable faster 3D content delivery for digital assets for the metaverse. Now look guys, this is absolutely critical, particularly in the metaverse, because when you talk about it being on blockchain, you also need to be aware of 3D content and the delivery time. And Mewari got the funding of $6 million, and the firm actually said that the oversubscribed round was led by Blockchain Ventures and Decasonic with additional investments from Abbey Ventures, Accord Ventures, Anfield, Outlier Ventures, Primal Capitals, and quite a lot of other. And look guys, what I'd really recommend you to do is follow this protocol, because what they're trying to do is definitely want to enable faster 3D content delivery for digital assets, which is so critical with the number of users who are going to be in the metaverse. The third news is about Accenture, and Accenture is heavily investing in metaverse, and the company announced a strategic investment in the growing hologram company called as Looking Glass Factory. And guys, so far as Looking Glass Factory is concerned, the information that I got via LinkedIn is that Looking Glass Factory has developed an end-to-end holographic platform with a lineup of displays that can show content in life like 3D without requiring the use of headsets or head tracking. Now this is going to be absolutely brilliant. And Accenture guys, they also have a partnership with Meta, and they're focusing on work-related things in the metaverse industry. So Accenture is definitely an early adopter in the metaverse. Now the fourth news is about Meta. Fortunately, this is not a positive news, because Meta is revamping its fledgling Horizon Worlds metaverse app, but they're focusing more on teenagers, and they're seeking to draw in more teenagers and young adult users. After working to improve the service's design, now it could be possible that a lot of reels that you see might be catered to focusing teenagers to getting into metaverse. Now from a business point of view, this is genius, because teenagers in 7 to 8 years down the line will be having the funding, and looks like in 7 to 8 years down the line, metaverse will be mainstream as well. So from a business point of view, definitely good decision. But if you have teenagers at home, it could be possible that they're spending quite a lot of time in Instagram and on Facebook. Now the fifth news, guys, is a massive news, and this is about Samsung. Now Samsung is preparing its own metaverse hardware in partnership with Google and Qualcomm. Now look guys, one of the earlier devices that I had was Samsung Gear VR, and I was completely blown away with the hardware and capabilities of Samsung. Now it is possible that more VR devices are coming by Samsung, and the Samsung Gear VR was at a ridiculously low price, and I had friends of mine who used to use Oculus Rift at that point of time. When they use Samsung Gear VR, they're completely blown away. The Samsung Gear VR has been discontinued because Samsung Gear VR was connected to Oculus, and Meta or Facebook did actually buy Oculus, because of which Samsung Gear VR at this point of time is absolutely useless. But Samsung preparing its own metaverse hardware is going to be a game changer, and they are doing that in partnership with Google and Qualcomm. So this is absolutely massive. And in my Metaverse Everything podcast, guys, I did talk about Qualcomm. They also have a partnership with Meta as well. Now listen guys, if you're an investor, I would definitely keep a keen eye on Qualcomm, because Qualcomm is turning out to be a giant in the metaverse industry. Now guys, let's discuss top 5 metaverse news from Dubai and UAE. And the first news is about VARA, or Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority. And on the 7th of Feb, Dubai's VARA issued specialized regulations for virtual assets, and the regulations set out a comprehensive virtual asset framework built on principles for economic sustainability and cross-border financial security. Look guys, if you're a startup or an entity or even a software developer working in the cryptocurrency blockchain space, you definitely need to go out and check out the regulations, because in my Crypto and Coffee 88 podcast, I did talk about some negative news, and that is to do with privacy coins, which are completely banned in Dubai and in UAE. So definitely go to the website, which is vara.ae, read through the regulations. And the second news, guys, is about an event which is currently taking place in Dubai, and it is called as Tomorrow Conference, but it is spelled as TMRO Conference, and it is powered by 2142, which is the largest emerging tech event, and it is currently taking place in Dubai's Festival City from the 8th till the 10th of this month, and today is the 10th. And if you go to the website, they have phenomenal speakers from different industry, and they're going to be talking heavily about metaverse as well. The third news is about innovation talks. And the Executive Council of Dubai did actually announce that the Dubai Future Foundation, led by His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the Crown Prince of Dubai and Chairman of the Executive Council of Dubai, is launching innovative projects and events such as the Dubai Future Forum, Dubai Metaverse Forum, Dubai Future Academy, and the 1 Million Arab Coders Initiative. What I'd really recommend you to do is follow the Executive Council of Dubai via LinkedIn and go to the website because they have phenomenal information. The fourth newscast is about the Metaverse Frontier, which I did mention earlier today, and I'm going to be releasing the episode later on in the day. Now, the fifth and final news is about an event taking place on the 16th of May, and this is called as Integrate Middle East. Now, the official news is published by the government agency called as Emirates News Agency. So essentially, emerging trends and debating points will be up for discussion at the Integrate Middle East Summit, which will cover themes including smart buildings, the metaverse, and the future of work, as well as business-critical digital signage and sustainable design as they align with AV industry and its agenda. So definitely very informative stuff, and I'm pretty much sure that they will also have this thoughts about Saudi Arabia taking a lead in the metaverse. So those were the thoughts, guys, from the Metaverse Everything podcast for the 10th of February. In case if you guys have any feedback or suggestions, please drop me an email to info@blockchaindxp.com, and also check out my website www.blockchaindxp.com, or drop me an email to info@area2071.com and check out my website area2071.com that talks everything about Metaverse. And if you like listening to this podcast, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating, and share the word across. And remember, guys, Monday to Thursdays, 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m., we have Crypto and Coffee at 8, where we cover top news and information pertaining to Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And how the series of episodes on the Crypto and Coffee at 8 works is, we usually cover some top news and information pertaining to the price of cryptocurrencies, some major breaking news, occasionally short and sweet news as well, news that has an impact in the cryptocurrency world. The other two news and information is related to Dubai, UAE, and Middle East in the world of Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And in my Crypto and Coffee Date podcast, we also have an Ask Me Anything series where you listeners can ask any questions from the cryptocurrency world. And what you're listening to right now is the Metaverse Everything podcast, which is a research-driven podcast focusing on educational and informational content about Metaverse and its impact. So thanks so much for listening, guys, and also stay tuned for the Metaverse Frontier's second episode. Thanks so much for listening and have a brilliant weekend ahead. Bye-bye.